Have you ever felt like no matter how much effort you put in, discipline still seems out of reach? Like you're constantly pushing yourself, trying to be stricter, trying to hold yourself to higher standards, and yet nothing ever truly sticks. You tell yourself to wake up earlier, to stay consistent, to be better, and when you fall short, the disappointment feels heavy. Maybe you've been taught that discipline is all about grit, about forcing yourself to show up no matter how you feel, about never breaking a streak. And when you do break it, you are harsh with yourself. But what if that version of discipline, the one built on pressure, harshness, and self-criticism, isn't helping you at all? What if it's actually the reason you feel stuck? What if lasting habits aren't built through force, but through understanding? What if the path forward isn't about pushing harder, but about learning how to work with yourself instead of against yourself? We've been conditioned to believe growth requires toughness at all costs, that if we aren't harsh with ourselves, we'll fail, that kindness toward ourselves will somehow lead to stagnation. But that pressure only works temporarily. It can motivate for a week, maybe even a month, but eventually, guilt, exhaustion, and frustration catch up. And sooner or later, you stop altogether. You might notice that the more you try to force yourself, the more resistant life becomes. Even the things you genuinely want to do can feel heavy, because the energy behind them is judgment rather than curiosity or care. This is the cycle many of us know too well: intense effort, followed by burnout, followed by shame, followed by giving up. Not because you lack willpower, but because the system you're using isn't designed to last. It's a system built on the idea that failure equals weakness, when in reality, failure is simply feedback, a signal that your approach needs adjustment, not punishment. The truth is, lasting change doesn't come from force. It comes from learning how to return and keep going. It comes from consistency that fits into your life instead of overwhelming it. And most importantly, it comes from changing how you respond to yourself when things don't go perfectly. This is the quiet, powerful truth that most people overlook. Habits and discipline are less about intensity and more about returning, repairing, and reconnecting after disruption. Think about how you would treat a friend who is struggling. You wouldn't tear them down. You wouldn't tell them they're failing or that they're incapable. You would listen. You would encourage. Now imagine offering yourself that same patience. That is the foundation of habits that actually stick. That is the secret most people overlook. Discipline isn't about rigid adherence. It's about reliability and care, even when you falter. When you slip, the key isn't perfection. It's returning immediately, calmly, without drama or self-attack. Discipline isn't rigidity. It's reliability. It's knowing that even when things don't go as planned, you'll reconnect and keep moving. That's the bottom line. Consistency is built on return, not avoidance. Every single time you choose to come back to your intention instead of giving up, you are reinforcing a deeper muscle. Trust in yourself. Picture this. You're trying to move your body every morning. One day, you oversleep or feel drained. The old approach would call this a failure. You might spend the day replaying your mistake, beating yourself up mentally, and feeling like the whole habit has collapsed. The new approach, what actually works, looks very different. You pause, you breathe, you say, I missed today. That's fine. I'll continue tomorrow. No guilt, no judgment, just return, just continue. Every time you respond this way, you reinforce trust in yourself, building momentum quietly and steadily. Setbacks will happen. That's inevitable. Life will throw unexpected challenges. You may have weeks where motivation feels absent, days when energy is drained, moments when circumstances feel chaotic. But the real power is in repairing and reconnecting. You don't need to start over. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to punish yourself into action. You just take the next step, no matter how small. These small, repeatable actions, done consistently, become the foundation of lasting transformation. That's what actually works. That's the difference between a fleeting burst of discipline and a life-changing habit. It's not just mindset, it's also structure. Structure doesn't mean rigid schedules or harsh rules. It means shaping your environment and your routines to support the behavior you want to cultivate. Pair new habits with things you already do. After your morning coffee, take a few minutes to stretch, breathe, or simply notice your surroundings. After lunch, step outside for a short walk. Before bed, write down one thing you appreciated that day. Make the environment supportive. Leave your journal on the nightstand. Keep your water bottle in sight. Your workout clothes ready. Small cues reduce friction and make follow-through easier. Momentum builds when habits are embedded into everyday life, when effort becomes part of your natural rhythm rather than a constant uphill struggle. This is also why habit stacking works so well. By linking a new habit to something you already enjoy or do automatically, you reduce resistance. Your brain begins to see the new habit as part of your existing rhythm, not a forced extra task. Over time, it becomes automatic. Over time, you stop needing willpower to start. The habit starts by itself because you've designed your life to support it. Over time, these gentle, consistent actions compound. Neuroscience shows that our brains respond far better to positive reinforcement than to punishment. Every time you meet a goal, even a small one, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that signals success. Slowly, your brain learns that effort leads to reward, not guilt or self-attack. That's why habits built on return, not force, stick over the long term. Your mind begins to trust your intentions, your body follows, and your consistency grows quietly but powerfully. In other words, the more you respond with patience and return, the more your habits stick naturally. Progress isn't linear. Some days feel effortless, others feel impossible. Some weeks are filled with small wins, others feel like you've barely moved. But each time you return, you reinforce the truth. Your growth isn't measured by perfection. It's measured by persistence, by the courage to reconnect and keep moving forward. Another critical piece is making a quiet promise to yourself, a gentle commitment rooted in kindness, not pressure. Promise that you'll be patient with your growth, and that when you drift, you'll return without punishment. That's resilience. That's emotional strength. That's the discipline that lasts. It is the quiet courage of showing up for yourself day after day, even imperfectly. It is the act of saying, I trust myself enough to continue, even when it's hard. Self-compassion is frequently underestimated, but research and lived experience highlight its powerful role in positive change. When you're kind to yourself, you conserve energy, maintain motivation, and approach your goals with curiosity instead of fear. You act because you care about yourself, not because you're afraid of failing. Self-compassion is the fuel for sustainable action. It transforms discipline from a battle into a practice, from a burden into a habit of care. This is the essence of what actually works. Every small win counts. Every short walk, every glass of water, every quiet moment of reflection. These actions add up. They build momentum, trust, and confidence. And when life disrupts your routine, as it inevitably will, you return. You reconnect. You continue. That return is the engine of real discipline. It's what keeps the momentum alive, what transforms intention into lasting change. Over time, these gentle, consistent actions compound. Your brain begins to associate effort with reward, not punishment. Your habits become ingrained. Your inner voice becomes a guide, not a critic. You learn that progress doesn't require perfection. It requires return. That's the bottom line. That's what actually works. And this approach doesn't just affect habits, it ripples outward. It shapes your confidence, your patience, your interactions with others. You notice that when you treat yourself with care, you naturally treat others with more understanding. You approach challenges with calm rather than fear. Motivation grows intrinsically, from within, rather than being imposed by guilt or shame. You learn that steady effort, even imperfect, produces results far more reliably than bursts of forced action ever could. So start small, stay patient, pay attention to what helps and what doesn't. Celebrate every effort, repair gently when things fall apart. Trust that each consistent, compassionate choice moves you forward. You don't need force. You don't need punishment. You just need steadiness, patience, and self-trust. Begin today, and you'll find that the change you've been chasing has been waiting for you all along, one small, consistent, kind step at a time. Discipline, at its core, is not about never failing. It is about returning. It is about showing up for yourself again and again, no matter what happens. That single perspective shift, seeing discipline as reliability rather than rigidity, is what unlocks transformation. And once you embrace it, every effort you make starts to count in a way it never did before. Every return strengthens your foundation. Every small choice builds your trust. And over time, that trust becomes a habit, a rhythm, a quiet power that carries you through every challenge. This is the real secret. Lasting change doesn't come from willpower, intensity, or punishment. It comes from steady, compassionate consistency. It comes from meeting yourself where you are, returning after every lapse, and nurturing a mindset that trusts effort over judgment. This is what allows habits to last, growth to endure, and life to unfold in a sustainable, meaningful way. So take a deep breath, be gentle, choose return over rigidity, choose patience over punishment, and step forward again and again, one small, kind, consistent step at a time. This is discipline that works. This is the path to lasting transformation. This is your life, unfolding quietly, steadily, beautifully, through the simple act of returning. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, every small step counts. Keep returning, keep growing.